set? Yeah? All right. Thank you very much. Let me try to see. Thank you very much for joining us today, and for those here in person, and also for a lot of people online. This is our 3rd annual Animation Short Films Festival. We're really excited about today's event because the first time we're doing this in person. And it's so nice to see people and the artists and also the jurors. Quite a few of them, including Gonzo, one of the jurors. We started working on this together since last year. It's the first time I see him in person. So really, really wonderful experience. Just a little background about this festival. I think Shang-Ching Mo, our lead advisor from SVA, who is the chair of the BFA of Animation program, we met, 2019 or so? We said, let's do something for the animation artists in the community. And off we go. This is the 3rd year. I think this year we have several hundred submissions. I won't name exactly how many, almost 1,000. And probably 30% more than the year before. And the submission quality is just fantastic. And we really had a hard time choosing which one. So we whittled it down from hundreds to 20, and today we only have the time to show 12 of them. So we do hope you enjoy them. So since there are a lot of films, I won't spend too much time, but right here we'll start showing the first 2 films, which is together with me to curate those 2 films is Gonzo Janner, who is animation artist with Nickelodeon. He's working on Transformer. For those Transformer fans, and I know there's a child younger than 20 in the audience, and someone else also a fan of Transformers, so it's coming up on Nickelodeon this year, I believe. So without further ado, we will just show those 2 films, and Gonzo will come back, we'll stay here and we'll share what he saw in these 2 films. So please start those 2 films.
You've been working all day, and you come home and throw your keys in that one bowl. But suddenly they're gone. Now you can't find your keys, your wallet, and your phone? What's next? You lose your mind? Worry no longer. The solution is here. Introducing Notice Notes! Now you can place these vibrant stickers on your most prized possessions. With our patented vibrant chili red coloring, your eyes are bound to notice whatever you need. Phone, wallet, purse, old wedding ring, the divorce papers, you name it, you'll notice it! Notice Notes are made with advanced, non-adhesive adhesives, so pull them out and bam, bam, bam! They're so fun and easy. I haven't seen my kids in weeks. But wait! There's more. With our new design, it now glows in the dark. So you can find your phone, your ex-wife's new boyfriend's missing watch, and much, much more, even in the dark. Wow! Just look at those puppies glow. I won't lose a thing. Hello? Ned? Ned! Oh, thank God, I've been looking for you. Do you know where my phone is?
Huh? It's right behind you. We're in the middle of shooting.
What? And that's how effective our product is. Call 555-555-1800 or the number on the screen below and pay 5 simple payments of $42.09 and you'll never lose a thing. That's 555-555-1800. Do not use Notice Notes if you are prone to swelling, bleeding, headaches, earaches, stomach aches, anal contusions, and more. Notice Notes Co. is not responsible for the death of a loved one or the loss of object permanence. Children under 35 should not be using Notice Notes. People over the age of 85 should not be voting. Please come back. Miranda?
was quite amazing. That's Notice Notes by Winnie Liu, and also The Last Stop by Bourbon Chua. Let's give them another round of applause. This is really wonderful, wasn't it? So Gonzo, what do you think of those two films?
Oh, I love these two films. First of all, thank you so much for organizing this, Mingyi, Shang.
Well, thank you for joining us.
In the animation industry and entertainment, advertising, so often we're constrained by what is marketable or what is viable, what will sell. So events like these really allow artists to express and push the boundaries of our art form. And that is exactly what we saw in these two films, each in their own way.
How so?
So I would think, let's go in order. So Notice Notes actually does quite an introspective exploration into the industry. Like it goes into part of the dark side of advertising. Often, and sadly, we find ourselves telling the consumer, hey, you're missing something, you're inadequate, so we have to lie a little bit to make them want to consume the product to advertise. And in all those little lies you tell, you start to lose yourself. And that's exactly what happened to the protagonist. So that's a very interesting exploration, pushing the boundary of storytelling as it happens in the screen outside with the viewer, us curating it. It has so many layers, and that...
I especially found that her use of the cubicle space, as you said, it's outside of the boundary, and yet he's constrained by the space on the screen. It's quite a dynamic use of the visual effects.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, and it's a very brave exploration because this is a student film, although it would seem it has professional quality. It's a student film. It's very brave to come out and make such a statement about the industry they're breaking into. Mm-hmm. So that is, yeah, that's a brave.
So how about The Last Stop? All the subway sounds and noise from, sounds like, I'm not sure it's a New York City subway system. What do you think of that Last Stop?
Oh, Last Stop was great. The camera work is pristine. You can really get into the film. You feel like you're there. It produces the anxiety. You feel what the protagonist is feeling. Mm-hmm. And in the universe that the artist created behind the screen, there's these layers of reality so that we can see that in different techniques. We can see the 3D animation, we can see 2D, we can see illustration, there's motion graphics, the sound, and if you paid attention, just the little details that make it such a fabulous film is in the moments of tension, these like layers of reality start tearing, and you can see as they tear apart, and you feel that. So it brings a whole other level of immersion to an otherwise just like flat art form. So
Yeah.
fantastic job.
Yeah, and the use of 2D and 3Ds interchangeably, that's really very nice use of both approaches.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it fit perfectly into the narrative.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Also, so let's turn into the next batch of films. It's going to be Hopper's Day and Timmy's Monster. So curating with me together is Qi Sui Wang. She won't be here. She's actually a professor at Taiwan National University of Fine Arts. She also herself is a very accomplished fine art artist. So without further ado, we'll see the films and then we'll come back at the end to show the curation. She will actually be coming in through a video. So, all right, enjoy. round of applause. Very different from the first two films. And that's the two wonderful films by Hopper State by Jingqi Zhang and also Timmy's Monster by Agnes Ho. So with me, we're going to show we're going to invite Professor Wang to really curate these two films for us. Steve, please roll the interview. Now, we just enjoyed the two wonderful films, and I would like to invite one of the jurors, Qi Sui, to join us to curate these two films. And welcome, Qi Sui.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Good, good. I know you're all the way in Taiwan, and you really can't make it in person. I really appreciate you making time for us, and also for the judging the films, because I know there are a lot of films and you all went through, and these two actually stood out. I think they really got very high scores from each of the jurors. Just maybe tell us a little bit about what struck you the most on these two films.
That's a very wonderful experience for during those films, and I think the most important part of these two films is that they have gone through certain kind of journey. Yeah, even though they are like little characters, but then they having managed to having a goal of their life or the daily life, then they wanted to experience the journey and overcome those obstacles. And so I think this is a very good story structure for the student to practice, first of all, because they both are from the student category.
Yes.
And also, I mean, when we were in school, we're always learning, how to tell the story, how to accompany the character, the main character, to go through their life journey or to enrich their experience and eventually achieve something that would help them, to go through the next obstacle or maybe in the future. So I think it's both very encouraging and very nice setting. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in Hopper State, they have these the cricket has other ants, right, fighting for the water resources, and that really made it really even more such a big struggle for the cricket to get this goal, right?
It's some kind of obvious obstacle, probably that led I don't know, the cat, the animal, and also another animal is in the story is the ants is fighting for the water, and then also this is hidden monster behind it is the drought, the heat. It's it's kind of taking the water away. So it's always been under certain difficulties and dangers. But then the little Harper insists to collect some water and water his plant and water himself. And eventually, he can achieve his state.
Yes. At the end, all the plants are flourishing. That's really such a wonderful contrast, right? After a long journey of struggling, that's wonderful storytelling. Exactly. How about the Timmy's Monster? What do you think of what stood out to you besides storytelling? How about animation or art direction?
Yeah, the art direction is very well done because the style is almost adapting of this old Japanese drawing painting or the ink painting skill, the kind of ink painting style. And it is not easy to manage this kind of style because it could be quite hard to the eye to see the moving, vibrating images. But then the director actually managed it very well. And also the performances, it's really nice and spongy, smooth. And so we all love that monster, even though it's a brand new original characters. But then we love it because it kind of build up the character of those little animals. Even though the main character looked like a little boy, but then it is something else.
That's right. It's a monster.
It's kind of combination with all this kind of cuteness, but then yet having certain kind of character. And the both film doesn't have dialogue, so it all relied on the performances, and the interaction between the character. This is not very easy for a student to do so.
Yeah, it's almost a professional level. I think I'm glad you pointed out because now I thought about it. I almost thought as if I'm reading a whole book, right? It's so rich with details and interactions, even though without sound and without verbal. And I think that's the amazing part of the animation arts, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. You can use your body language and music. You can feel like they are almost saying something. Yeah, and you can probably write a story, out of this film because you kind of knowing what they are thinking, little bit of a gesture, you already have the indication of certain thoughts, is coming. And so I think they both have been executed really well. So that's why it's popular in Juror Board.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Qi Sui, and I really understood the films much better. And thank you very much.
Yeah, I wish I could be there, and hopefully you can enjoy the day.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We will. Okay, thank you very much, Qi Sui. That was wonderful curation. I seriously, I understood the films much better after she pointed out those nuances that, not being an artist, couldn't have noticed as much. And by the way, behind Qi Sui's on the wall is actually her artwork. This is beautiful artwork, and she's a very fantastic artist as well. So coming up next is really two wonderful films again, and one is called Grandmother's Beautiful Boy by Lauren Gregorio, and In Tandem by Samar Chen. And curating with us is Ching Ho. Ching Ho is actually an accomplished animation artist herself as well, and she will be joining me on the screen as well. Just so you know, that's my avatar, so I'm in two spaces at the same time. But please enjoy the following two films, Grandmother's Beautiful Boy and also the In Tandem. Please enjoy. round of applause of those beautifully told stories. Maybe just take a pause. Really, I hope you really enjoy the films. We're about 6 more films, exciting, beautiful films to come. And just going through the entire process, we started in each year, probably in November, starts receiving submissions, going through the submissions, have the jurors go through them one at a time. There's really a lot of work behind it, but when we see the final selection in front of you, share with the audience here and also online, it's really such a rewarding experience for the work we have all done. And thank you very much for the jurors, and I'll introduce you one at a time also over time. So curating with me on these, the Grandma's Beautiful Boy and In Tandem is Ching Ho. She's a motion artist, and she's also working at Peter Arnell's branding agency right now. She has a lot of name brand clients right now, but let's just see what she shares with us, how she saw these 2 films. Please enjoy the interview. Well, welcome, Ching. Really, thank you so much for being on the jury this year. I know we have a lot of films, very wonderful films to see, and especially these 2, In Tandem and Grandmother's Beautiful Boy. Lovely stories, very relevant, and yet very differently portrayed. So what stood out on these 2 films to you when you saw these 2?
Oh, actually, I feel lucky and to talk about these 2 films because I find they have some common point. Like they are all talks about like cherishing the memory of the beloved family. Also, they talk about a passage of time. Like In Tandem, the artist used the bike as a symbol, and I really like while the wheel rolling, and it kind of express the message of like passing time, that time passing, right? And also in the wheel, the artist showed some graphics of like time changes and place changes graphic in the wheel. So for me, which also resonates the time pacing, this message, I think it's really good. But I really like the ending frame, the final shot, like the grown-up girl like runs to hold the almost falling bike, right? I really like that movement. I think it's really cute and it's really meaningful because it's kind of like say that now I'm on my own now, and I'm ready to go and I'm ready to ride this bike. Yeah.
How about the Grandmother's Beautiful Boy? What do you think of that one? What stood out to you? I know your specialty is really interaction between the visual and also the sound. Is there anything?
Yeah, this is the point that I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
And this part, yes, in like for Grandma's The Beautiful Boy, yeah, I really want to shout to his sound design. I think it's really good.
Okay.
Shout out. Yeah, because you can notice that like Grandma's Beautiful Boy, the artist just used a pure piano as the sound design. I think it's really cute and it works very well with this cute and showpiece. Like yes, and also the piano and this piano melody design and has the theme. The piano melody has its own theme, and we can hear two different variations. When we see the little boy with the grandma, and also the other version of the variation, like when little boy having his cake alone and grandma is not there. I think so. I can feel that the artist really put a deliberate effort on the sound design. I think it's really good. So I want to shout out for this.
Yeah, that's really good. Yes. Uh-huh. So Ching, tell us a little bit more about what projects you're working on, what kind of commercial projects you're working on right now.
Okay, now I'm working on the Las Vegas hotels promote branding animation project.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So it's not just a one or two animation. It's a series of
Yeah.
it's a series of production of the animation project. So we have more than like 20 or maybe more topic of each animation.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Ching, for really being on the jury, and we really appreciate all your sharing your experience and especially your commercial project. That's really wonderful. Thanks very much.
Thank you. It's really my honor and really my pleasure.
Sure. Very good. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you very much, Ching, and I hope she's here. She's working late today for one of the branding projects she's doing. So I'm learning, actually, animation skills actually can be applied not just in art, but also a lot of commercial branding, also communication projects. It's really very versatile skills to have. Coming up next is really very touching films. I won't spoil too much. Anyone that has lived with aging parents or have that experience, I think you'll see three very different ways of interpreting that generational dynamics. Three of them here. One's called Dog Person by Zhenyi Liu, and Junk by Rose Kahn, and Perfect Restaurant by Aiken Chow. And curating with me is Rebecca Kuo. Rebecca Kuo is a pipeline technical director at International Light and Magic. She's all the way from Sydney, Australia. So she won't be able to be with us today, but my avatar will be interviewing her after the three films. So enjoy the three films.
哎，你家有养狗吗？
没有哎。
是哦，你这么喜欢狗，以后会想自己养一只吗？
我可能要等工作之后吧。其实我小时候家里养过一只雪纳瑞耶。我爸那个年代的人养狗都那样啊，把它当土狗在养。有一天被我妈发现它走路一跛一跛的，我们两个才很紧张，带它去看医生。
那后来你家那只狗呢？
后来有一天，它吃到路边的老鼠药就过世了。我那时候超气我爸，他都没想过它会不会被车撞，或是乱吃什么。可是后来我想，他那个年代也没人教他怎么养狗啊，搞不好他也是这样被养大的啊。
Ugh. Mom, we need to talk. You said that you were gonna start cleaning up the last time I came over.
에이미. 언제 왔어? If I'd known you were coming over, I would have made you something to eat. Well, here, have a seat, and I'll make us some tea.
Ugh. Mom, I didn't come over for tea. We really need to talk about this house. Mom, this house is out of control. You can't keep living like this. You can barely get through the front door. What if something were to happen to you?
We are not having this conversation again. This is my house. Now get out!
I just want to help you.
If you're so worried about the junk, then fine. You can have it!
Mom, stop!
This is my home. It used to be ours. But that doesn't matter to you.
Watch out! Mom? Where am I? Huh?
Oh, Amy.
Mom?
Just in time. I just made dinner. 와서 먹어.
What is all this? What is this place?
We're at home, 내 딸. So how was school today? You get your report card soon, right? You have to show it to me when you get it, okay?
What are you talking about? I've been out of school for years. Mom, I don't know what this is, but we have to find a way out.
야, Amy. We can't have a nice dinner?
Mom, stop! This isn't our house. Just look outside.
I don't know what you're talking about. Now sit down. Your food is getting cold.
Listen to me. This place, whatever it is, isn't real. We can't stay trapped here forever.
I don't care if this is all fake.
What?
In the real world, but in this world, I'm not. Here, it's just like it used to be when we were together and happy and I don't have to worry about being a burden to you. I've only ever been junk to you.
Mom, you've never been a burden to me, and you never will be. I never meant to make you feel that way.
That's why you want to sell the house, right?
The reason I came over today was to ask you to come live with me. I don't want you to be trapped here anymore. You can let me know your answer later. We have to go now.
그러니까 what you said back there, you really mean it?
Of course.
Well, it's going to take a while to clean up this mess.
But we'll do it together.
Together.
加工食物啊，又多鹽，食壞人㗎。咦？呢度仲話食得牛肉之類嘅紅肉多啊，會有心血管病添啊！你咪唔信啊，真㗎！
啊，有嘢食啦。
啊，唔該晒啊，哥哥仔。吓？你又嗌牛肉？你想毒死全家？
少少啫嘛，咪咁大驚小怪啦。
但係啊，你應該知道㗎，每次出街食嘢之前都要同事講啦。
吓？係咪我嚟㗎？
冇鬼用，叫樣嘢都叫錯，冇次做得啱嘅你。
是但啦，等我有餐安樂茶飯食得唔得啊？煩死人啦！
我鬧你啊，唔係冇原因。
點解我咁細嘅？嘿，媽咪，救命啊！我喺依度啊！
哎呀，阿仔，你唔食嘢點會快高長大啊？咦，走啊走啊！老豆啊，有隻烏蠅喺阿仔嗰隻碗嗰度啊，幫下手啦！
係烏蠅啫，佢咁大個仔會自己搞掂㗎啦。
你連個仔都唔幫，學乜人做人老豆啊？阿仔一陣肚痛啊，又或者嗰隻嘢喺度屙蛋啊，又或者，唉，總之你啊就唔好黐住張凳啊！
得啦得啦，麻鬼煩，邊度啊？
喺嗰度啊嗰度啊！快啲搞掂嗰隻嘢啦！我唔夠手長啊！你快啲過嚟啦！快啲啊！快啲啊！成碌木講
都揾唔到。
咪喐！做乜啊？你次次要搞彎晒啲嘢啊，你先安樂㗎。
如果你唔係日嘈夜嘈，我諗我唔會咁咯。
冇樣嘢做得啱。
咪嘈啦！
我都冇嘈。
做乜都唔啱你心水。
因為啊，你踢極都唔喐啊。
媽咪，Andy，
成日都係打啦，真係人都癲啊！
又自己癲飽佢。
冇人個老豆啊，好似你咁懶㗎。你收聲啦！其實啊，
冇
最煩
氣
嗰個就係
同你拗。
阿仔。
睇下你哋。我知冇嘢係最好嘅，但係一隻烏蠅咁小事，係咪值得我哋嗌交呢？
我諗我哋好似玩大咗喎。
咪係咯，但係我都知阿仔自己搞得掂嘅啦。
喂，如果你肯早啲幫佢啊，就唔使搞呢場大龍鳳啦。
你都唔明，我係話
行啦，講咁多。
我喂喂喂，未俾錢啊！我做咗12年嘢都未見過人咁衰食霸王餐噶，我都要養家啊！死啦！我點同老細講啊？你快啲翻嚟啊！我要收鋪啊！你哋睇住你啊！我一定瞓到你哋。
Wow, how do you like watching the big screen versus in the small screen like my Surface? It's a different experience, isn't it? Especially the little fly versus the humans and chasing outside the parking lot. It's totally different experience. Also the sound, I think, I want to thank Flushing Town Hall for this magical theater, because you can actually hear the sound, the little whisper in the background of the music. It's really great. I especially like the junk where I can hear the Korean mother's accent there. So really wonderfully put together. So give them a round of applause, the three films. It's Dog Person by Zhenyi Liu, Junk by Rose Kahn, and Perfect Restaurant by Aiken Chow. So they're really very, very wonderful story told. So curating for us is, as I said, Rebecca Kuo, all the way from Sydney, Australia. And I'll have my avatar do the interview. So enjoy the curation. With us today will be Rebecca Kuo, and she's one of the jurors that we're very honored to have. She, together with the other jurors, really have seen all the films and these are the three films she helped pick out as selected officially for this year's film festival. So welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, Lainey. Thank you.
Yeah. So as I said earlier, Rebecca Kuo is the Pipeline Technical Director, or TD, for ILM. So maybe just tell me a little bit, what does Pipeline Technical Director do for the viewers that don't know much about the industry?
Yeah. Okay. So Pipeline Technical Director, you can also just call it Pipeline TD, particularly in VFX and animation industry. So basically it's a role that makes sure that all the tools or plugins that animators use in the pipeline, that make sure everything is working properly. So I would imagine the best thing could be like something like Maya plugin that is used by animators, that make sure that animators or anything like related in the pipeline that is working. So my role is kind of in between artists and technology. So I also need to know some coding and also need to know how to use those softwares.
Wow, so you're really behind the things that really make it work for the artists, yes, to do their wonders. That's wonderful. We'd love to know what the latest tools are there, but that will not be the focus today, and I'm sure viewers would love to know. Maybe after the films we can get in touch with you. But just tell me that these three films we just viewed, they're all very different, yet they're very similar in a way. What jumped out at you when you saw these three films?
I would say, particularly in the Dog Person, that film, it brings back of my old days. Like, yeah, and so when I was young, I also have a dog at our house. So it has the kind that I just connect to my back in my past. And I also really, really enjoy the sound design from the Dog Person. It's really smooth and brings up the animation and story, the point. And this is for the Dog Person. And also for the Perfect Restaurant. It's really special because it's telling the story from a fly perspective. So all the camera movement, it's actually filming and from the fly and then following the son's parents. So I really like the movement, how they control the camera, and also how the animation that present to the viewers. And also it actually brings up the story point at the end. Like, hey, actually a small things can notice the whole overview of what happened in that scenes. So I feel it's very fun to see this animation.
Yeah.
And for Junks, it's also a very touching story from a mother and a daughter. I feel it's about open conversation to bring that with into generations. So I feel like all the stories that it's very easy to bet anyone can understand the story. This really it's really impressive by all the students. I really enjoy watching them.
Yeah, this reminds me of what I was thinking, watching Junk, the multiverse, right? They were trying to, it was in a dreamland, or is it reality, or are you present? And then suddenly the mother said, really? Do you really want me to move in with you? That was like, that was like the epic end of what the mother's really looking to do, right? Is really to have the company with the family. So that's really just beautiful. How about the production? Because as you know, we score these films based on the 5 major categories, from art direction, animation, production, technical, and also the sound. On the production side, maybe you can, with your experience, can tell us a little bit how you see these 3 films are produced. What stood out in your eyes?
Yeah. So for productions, it's about a thing that a key part to manage each component, I would say. So the first thing is timeline and what's the budget, and these 2 things, money and time. And then based on the project management, and the producer will control each component, like, hey, who's the best person to do this? So I feel like the point that so we have a lot of submission this year. Yes. And I would say that whatever films from the selected, it's important that you can see that every category, it has meets its requirement and a certain standard. So this is a combination of, hey, to make sure you have a good sound design and storytelling, and animation, of course, and some like art direction. So the how the film is going to present. That's the colors and lighting stuff. It's all about combination about how to present a movie. So if the productions goes well, I would say that it could level up the movie in a certain standard.
I guess they just look so much more cohesive, and all the 5 buttons you talked about really are a very high level and come together nicely.
Yes.
And as I go through some of the credits behind the scene, most of these films are really a big team effort, isn't it? It's not just a single person that you see on the front, but it's actually at the end, as you know, a lot of credits, could be almost entire, actually, 2 dozen people involved.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of the fun of making animation films, isn't it? People like you with a production pipeline of expertise, the tools, and plus the art and the sound, and then just putting it together. That's really amazing. Oh, thank you very much. And again, thanks very much for really joining us today. And thanks very much for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you, Mingy.
Yes. All right. Okay, thank you very much, Rebecca. That was Rebecca Kuo, all the way from Sydney, Australia, to share her expertise with me. So here with me is Wendy Tong Zhao, and she's an accomplished artist and animator herself. She also teaches at SVA as well as Queen's College. Is that right, Wendy? Yes. Thank you for joining me. Wendy is going to join me and curate the next 2 films, The Best Friend by Clara Zhou and I call them Chatham brothers or cousins, Parker and Parrot. And The Gate by Kino Jin. I do want to shout out to Ri Chen Li, if you can raise your hand. She is actually one of the artists that happened to be able to join us today. This year, and usually, I think we have a lot of international or bi-coastal artists. So today, we were able to just get Ri Chen Li from The Gate to join us today. So without further ado, please enjoy the next 2 films. And Wendy and I will just stay on the side and watch, observe, and enjoy the film with you. Steve? Sorry, can we take a pause? So can we play the best friend? Sorry about that. We'll take a break. So during the commercial break, why don't we... Here you go, the best friend. Enjoy it. Okay, let's give them a round of applause for this wonderful film, The Gate, by and the what you call that, the Best Friend by Clara Joe and the Chatham Brothers, and The Gate by Kino Jin and Ri Chan Lee in the audience. Thank you very much for joining us today. Wendy, before we get started, let me give you some background. Wendy, since we started 3 years ago, you've been joining us as a juror for three festivals in a row, right? So we went through a lot together. We went through the COVIDs. Now this third year, everyone's trying to get back to normal. Have you maybe tell us have you seen anything different in the submissions we're seeing this year from the prior 2 years?
Yeah, it's definitely been a great honor to participate in the event for the third year. It's really great that we can do it at least partially in person today. Just nothing beats being able to interact with the audience here. I think this year what really stood out in the submissions were the student films. We saw a lot of really quality student films from all over the world. And if you think about how much the pandemic has disrupted schools or school educational schedules and such, it's really impressive that the students were still able to work through that and develop such quality and variety of various animated shorts that we're seeing here today. So I was really inspired and proud to watch all of the student films here.
And I think, was it in tandem and also the other story, they actually were able to express what we went through through animation art form. That was really wonderful. Of these two particular films, Wendy, I find it, the first one definitely very, very colorful. I'm not an artist, so from just a normal audience, that's really colorful and really very almost dreamy kind of approach, versus the last one, which is more, I would say, black and white. It has some colors, but very muted colors. How do you, because I know your artwork, I really enjoy, there's a lot of very contrasting colors as well. So how do you compare these two different styles when animators choose to use what kind of color scheme? How do they consider that in what they want to express?
Sure, yeah. I think color is definitely a very important element in film, right? You see that color can really evoke different emotions, and they can say a lot without kind of directly telling you what they're saying. And I think these two films really used color to kind of enhance the storytelling. So in the first film, we have this very childlike, lighthearted world. It's almost like a storybook, to kind of create this magical
children's book story.
Yeah. So and in animation especially, it's not like you can put your camera down and shoot, a character or a set that already has color and light on it. In animation, you have to really carefully design all of the color choices and lighting choices, and put that on all of the characters and items, frame by frame. So just technically speaking, there's another level of appreciation we can see from just like the love and the labor that goes into choosing the colors and the look and feel of the film. And in the second film, The Gate, it is more of a limited palette, definitely, but I think it works to, again, like immerse us in this kind of cold world, this cold, mechanical, authoritarian world. And then there are some moments when we kind of saw the outside world, and the color choices for those moments are a little more warm and naturalistic. So
when they were outdoors,
definitely, we get that contrast. And so that contrast makes those moments more special. So I think both of these films really thoughtfully applied their color and lighting choices.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. We have to have a lot coming up. Actually, especially I want to do a preview is we actually have a very nice Q&A with the artists of 9 of the films you saw here. And that will be coming up after the next one, which is Sincerity. And it's by Aruso from Japan. So enjoy it. And I'll be joined by Ming Liu, another accomplished artist here. She's coming up. But please enjoy the film, and both Min and I will come back to curate the film for you. Enjoy. Thanks very much, Wendy. Okay, that was Arufa's Sincerity. Let's give it applause. So I have the perfect juror for you to curate this film, because Ming, I think you said you've worked with Japanese rock music stars, and animation films, Japanese style. So I really should be quiet and let you explain what did you see and what's so good about this film?
Well, first of all, okay, so a little bit introduction on myself. So I'm an animation artist myself, but most of my work is for music video and fashion. So I did couple of animation music video before, including one of the rock star from Japan. His name is Idol. So it's from some really famous when I was young. So I am very surprised I can work with him. But
oh wow!
So for me, when I see this, I feel like it's a very good because especially COVID, the industry start like seeing animation as a new format for making music video. It's not, nobody did this before, but right now people are switching their direction more toward animation, and I feel like it's a really good tool, a new tool to play around
To open up the music.
To open up another option of like what music video should be, you know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because like again, COVID, live action
instead of
production
real person, real life,
will be a little bit difficult at this moment. So like a lot of stuff just, you know, let's switch it to doing animation. And I feel like it's a really good, it's not saying animation is just like something because we can shoot, so we do animation. It's more like, we didn't think about this before, but right now it will be very cool to do something in this kind of style. So when I see this piece, I feel like, I am happy like we can present one of these kind of, you know, work here.
Almost like a main aspect of the animation application,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, so we see like from short film to like, you know, very funny cartoon and like culture and something more like a visual porn, and then we see like music video here, and I feel like it's like a very full circle. Like there's so many possibility animation can do. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So since you talked about what you're working on, so tell us about what you're seeing that's really you're enjoying doing in terms of in the commercial world for those young artists that are just out of school or 2 years out, a couple of years.
Well, I feel like
because you're doing a lot of musical right now.
Music video. Yeah, and I feel like first of all, again, because when you are working with music, like it's a little bit different when you are trying to tell a story. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't have a script. The song is a script. And
That's
also
right.
there's tempo, there's bass. So like how do you go with that? How do you go with the energy of the artist? Yeah.
So it's a different,
Yeah, the workflow is a little bit different, but it's not very totally, you know, opposite thing. It's again, you got something like a script, something you are following, and you can, you know, start applying your idea. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much. Again, thank you very much. Those are the 12 films we're able to show you today. So coming up, let's watch the Q&A that hosted by Shang-Ching Mo, our lead advisor, with the nine films artists, about 11 of them. So let's roll that interview and enjoy the discussions, and let's watch. Thank you very much, Ming. All right, welcome back. This is the exciting moment of this evening's event, which is the Q&A with the animation artists. Also, Q&A session will be led by our lead advisor, Shang-Ching Mo from SBA School of Visual Arts, head of the BFA program. So welcome, everybody. And let me just do a brief introduction of everyone. And Shang will then take the lead on the Q&A with all the artists, and you'll get to hear all the exciting journey they've gone through about their filmmaking. So first introduce you is Roy, Harper's Day. Roy, how are you? And Winnie Liu from Notice Notes. Hi. And then we also have Kino Jin from The Gate. Hi. And then we also have Louise Wang from Timmy's Monster. Hi, Louise. Hello. Yes. And then also we have from In Tandem, Samar Chan. How are you, Samar? Good to see you. And of course, the Grandmother's Beautiful Boy by Lauren. Hi, Lauren. And then we have Bervin from The Last Stop. Hi, Bervin. And then we also have Agnes from Timmy's Monster. Good to see you. And then we have Jing Qi from Harper's Day. Hi, Jing Qi. Welcome. And then the last two, but not the least, is Perfect Restaurant. Hi, Aiken. Hello. And then last but not least is Dog Person by Zhenyi Liu. Hi, Zhenyi. Okay, there you go. And Sean, we'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Mi. Hi, everyone. Happy animation. And on behalf of the festival, I can't be more thankful to meet all the filmmakers today and also the composer. I also realized we have a composer today. Again, sound is so important to the animation or any visual creation process. So really happy to be in the same virtual room with you all and learn about your film. So, and also have to say this year, our competition or festivals are really competitive. We have really great amount of films, and this lineup is incredible. Our jurors really spend a lot of time like reviewing it, discussing it, and there's so many different visual styles and storytelling. So I want to congratulate all the filmmakers and thank you for being here. So we do want to take some time to go over all like the films and hear from all of the filmmakers. So I'm going to go over some of the questions that I'll be asking everyone. The first one, I'm going to ask everyone to kind of do a quick recap about what the story is about and how they came up with an idea. And then also we'll like to hear a little bit about their creative process in terms of anything that's special they would like to share. And then also if they travel back to hopefully maybe a year ago, 2 years ago when they first worked on this film, what advice would they give it to themselves? And last but not least, and that's also the most important thing, we'll love to know what they're working on next. So I'm going to be calling names. So I think Bervin, did I say your name right? From The Last Stop. So hi, Bervin.
Hi, hello.
Share some of the information about your film, please.
Okay, so hi, I'm Bervin. My project's called The Last Stop, and our film's about a lone commuter who has to escape a speeding train before it crashes into the last stop. And for us, a big inspiration was the trains from Hong Kong and Singapore because, especially Singapore, sometimes it gets into jams or faults and it goes really, really slowly. So we thought, what if we flipped it around and made a train that goes really, really fast? And then we turned that idea into an action thriller film, which, if you see the style, it kind of mimics our inspiration from the Love, Death Robot short, The Witness by Alberto Mielgo. What we wanted to do was also to keep it set in an Asia setting. So for the sounds, we used a lot of train sounds from Hong Kong, from Singapore and China. And the design of the train as well, we tried to keep it to one that is, because we realized that trains in like New York and France have this unique grungy look. So we tried to stray away from that and make something more precise, which is usually what Asian trains tend to look like. Then next, what's special about our project is we actually animated everything in Maya, but then later on, all the rendering and lighting was done in a game engine, Unreal Engine 4. We also had to use 3 other softwares for our glass simulations, clothes simulations, and some visual effects. But in the end, it was all pieced together in the game engine because we could do really fast dynamic lighting, which in our pre-production stage, we plan to have our lighting be timed to the music. So that's why the game engine really came in handy for us. For advice to my past self, I feel like we should have given more time to research and development, especially when it came to using the game engine. Because at the time when we started, the game engine was still rather new. We went with Unreal Engine 5, and it had a lot of hiccups along the way. And that did take us about 2 to 3 weeks of buffer to fix all the issues, but we eventually managed to get it fixed. Although I could say we did not see it coming. So yeah, we should have spent a bit more time looking at the software documentation. And lastly, the next project we'll be working on, we have one horror film in the works, as well as one action film in the making.
Nice, thank you. Please keep us posted. That sounds really great. I mean, this film also has a little horror, in it already. So thank you so much for sharing. And congratulations. And next one, we have Notice Notes by Winnie Liu. Hi, Winnie.
Hi, Shang.
Hi.
I'm Winnie. Notice Notes is a film that I made with my 3rd year class at the School of Visual Arts. So I directed and wrote the script. But the way that I sort of came up with the idea and the plot was I was looking for like a very certain accessory that I don't frequently wear. So I like hung it up somewhere in my room. And then I like searched everywhere in like my room to like find it. But it was like in the spot that like it would obviously be in. So it's a story about object impermanence, or just like not being able to find something that's very clearly where it's supposed to be. Because the story itself is about a con artist essentially in the early 2000s, like sort of infomercial American style. And he's basically just trying to scam the viewers out of buying what is very clearly just Post-it notes, but trying to hype it up to be something more. And slowly he starts to reveal that he's going through a very heavy divorce and that he's losing himself and not just con business as well. So I think it's very funny. I like telling jokes. And it came out really well in my opinion. I think my classmates did very well on it. My inspiration for the style of the film was UPA. I really wanted to go with sort of that geometric style, sort of like going back to like the 90s or the early 2000s of American cartoons. And my art director, Daniel DeBole, also suggested Mary Blair's work, which is also very geometric and sort of lineless, and it worked really well in the end. There's nothing particularly special about this film, in my opinion, but I think it's really cool that we did all of it in the span of 12 weeks online during the pandemic in the first semester of my junior year. And I think it's really amazing that we pulled that off, honestly, because I think that's still when we were all acclimating to being online for the pandemic and sort of just getting back to school online, which is a very arduous task in itself. So being able to pull off a very funny and well-executed film, I think is very, very cool. I just finished my last year at SBA, and the only project I'm working on now is getting a job. But other than that, I'll keep you posted. That's basically it.
Great, thank you. Absolutely love the credits too. Everyone should stay through and read entire credits. There's so many things in there, and
I'm very grateful.
Yes.
I'm very grateful for everyone that works on it. I truly cannot take even half of the credit for the way the film came out.
Great, thank you, Vinny. And the next one, we're going to introduce Aiken Chow from The Perfect Restaurant. Hello.
Hello, hi everyone. Yeah, so I'm Aiken Chow, and Perfect Restaurant is a film about a family that goes to eat dinner at a restaurant, and then they meet a fly which wreaks havoc on their meal as they get upset at the fly and then get upset at each other. And it's pretty autobiographical, and it's a bit about the relationship between me and my parents, and then the relationship my parents have with each other in the way they communicate or don't communicate. And I sort of wanted to show the comedy in how in the arguments of day-to-day life and marriage, and my own parents' relationship makes me think about the way my relationships might be, and how to reflect on that to have a healthy relationship with my partner, in my opinion. And yeah, so how is the process of the film special? Well, the restaurant that the film takes place in is a real restaurant, and there's also a plaza featured in the film, and it's a real plaza that's a 20-minute walk away from where I live. And the restaurant is called Alton Towers Restaurant, actually, not Perfect Restaurant. So if you ever come to Toronto, it's a great place to go and eat. But other than that, I also made the film in Blender mainly, so all the characters are 3D, but the backgrounds are 2D, and I was sort of inspired by Into the Spider-Verse, which has really gone on and pioneered all of these big films now that are using 2D, 3D styles. And then one piece of advice I would give to myself is maybe to enjoy the process, and then not be afraid to ask for help. I directed the film, I wrote the script, and it was a pretty personal project, so it was sort of difficult to talk to people about it. But if I could, I would tell myself talk to more people about it, show it to them, and get their help. So my roommate actually helped me a lot in terms of the tech. His name is Henry Wilkinson, and then I also found an amazing composer. His name is Paul Michael Cardon, and they helped me a lot in terms of making the film. And I would also say to myself to get a stronger computer, because rendering took so much time, and that was a struggle. But I did halfway through the production. And then in terms of next projects or upcoming projects, I'm currently working as a storyboard artist on Spidey and His Amazing Friends, the preschool show. So that's been pretty fun. And then just this month, a documentary I worked on is airing on CBC, and it's called The Lunchbox Dilemma, about Asian Canadian artists and young people who have this relationship with how their food and how they were treated during lunchtime at school. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Aiken, you have to, now that you finish the film, you also have to share with as many people as possible. That's
Exactly.
one advice you're going to talk to me to ask for help. Now you have to share with everyone. Thank you, Aiken. And
Thank you.
along with the theme of family, we're going to introduce you to Chen Yi Liu for dog person. Hi.
Hi. So English isn't my native language. I'm sorry if I did something wrong.
You sound perfect. Don't worry.
Thank you. So the description. So this story, I'm basically a dog person. So I really love to write a story about anything about dog. And then I'm thinking about where if there is a story about dog, and then and then I came up with this story of myself. It's a very personal story, and it's basically about how I think my father raised a dog is similar to how he raises me. And yeah, I'm basically talking about this. And then anything special about the process, I think I tried a lot of materials in this film. I use pastel and I use pastel, color pencil, and also 2D and a bit of 3D. Like I did it in 3D and then I rotoscope it into 2D. And then, yeah, I struggle a lot with a scene where the main character goes into a pet shop and it's like the POV of the girl. And then this is the shot that I rotoscoped, but I couldn't find a real pet shop there's actually a parrot in it. So I just film a random pet shop and then I just struggle a lot with putting the parrot inside the scene. Yes, and yes, I think a lot of Asian people could resonate with this kind of story because I think in my father's generation, they focus on to just raise their children, but they didn't care very much about their emotion. And yeah, so this is something peculiar to my culture. Sorry for my English. What I will be working on next. I just graduated from Taipei National University of Arts last year, and then I'm currently making a music video for a Taiwanese artist. Yes, and it will be released this July, I think. And if I could travel back in time, what advice I would give myself? So there is a religious part in my film. It's like Buddhism, and it's a very personal experience. So I really like to, and it's a personal experience that influenced me a lot and about this story. So I would like to put it in this story. But then I figure out that it doesn't help about in the story. It's so maybe next time, or maybe if I could travel back to give myself an advice, I will think about that, and then maybe I'll cancel it or describe more on this part. Yes, and thank you for your attention.
No, thank you. And I think my advice is for that part that you cut out, because your film is wonderful. I think adding that element might get distracting. So I think you should definitely hold on to this idea and work on it for your next film. So that's
thank you very much.
Yes. And so thank you. So along with the theme, the next one is also about, family, especially father and daughter. So we have In Tandem by Samar Chan.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Samar, the director of In Tandem. In Tandem is a 1-minute 2D animated short about the cycle of life. Just like what being introduced is about a daughter and a father, and we cycle through them, pauses, and then launches forward. How do I come up with the idea? I feel like for people growing up from an Asian background, we always think about family relationship. So that's this one. And personally, this film is a goodbye to my grandpa, whose funeral happened during this pandemic. Actually, I had this original story idea in 2020. 2020 is like a year full of chaos and horrible news. At that time, I'm thinking about some very big questions, I guess, like how could we deal with uncertainty? How could we process the unavoidable loss or sorrow? Then Intendant shows up. Anything special about the the making process? I can talk about the visual style because we are trying to answer those kind of complicated questions in a very simple way. So for visual style, we were also looking for organic, natural, and ignorant feeling overall. So that's the reason why we choose 4:3, the old TV resolution, as the aspect ratio, and also the non-outlined characters with watercolor texture. Just want to make it a piece of memory. And that's a correction. Okay, if we travel back, what's the advice? I think because Intendant is our first short film. And because the lack of time, we couldn't find a composer. We just used the copy-free music. That's horrible. We can definitely do a better job for the music. So that's the advice. What would you work on next? Actually, I'm in my last year at the Art Center, and we are working on another animation shorts as our action and horror shorts. So very different. But I'm very happy to work some action scenes. Very excited, and I'm also layout apprentice at Walt Disney right now. So I'm working on feature films that gonna come up, I think, during Thanksgiving. It's called The Strange World. Please go to theater and watch it. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love there's a horror film thing going on. We definitely check out these films for sure. Well, thank you, Samar, for sharing. And we're going to change our family theme to a different thing, is a cricket. So I'm going to introduce Jinchi, the filmmaker. Hello.
Hi, nice to be here. I'm Jinqi, not Harper. I'm Jinqi Zhang, the director of Harper's Day, and I'm with my composer, Roy.
Hello.
Yay.
Hi.
Yeah. So the film is about a small cricket wants to achieve the dream in an abandoned quarry. So what inspires me is it was during pandemic, everyone said, and I got a lot of pressure from school assignments, and I was feel very down. But after I decided to take a walk outside, I saw hundreds of bees just on the back of our community, and they're honk. And I also see the flowers are blooming. It was spring, so I feel kind of relieved. And I want to record this kind of thing, so this story comes out. I hope everyone can connect it with it. So about the working process, well, I spent half of the time to think about how to make the story, how to make it interesting, how to express what I want to, and other parts. I feel even it's a lot of work, drawing every frame and the background, but it's easier than just to figure out the storyboard. But the most difficult thing for me is I know nothing about music, but music should be a big part. So I have my amazing composer, Roy. Could you please share your process? I don't know how your magic happens.
Well, working with Jinxie is very fun. It's always a treat. Harper's Day is a very, very heartfelt film. And it was we messed around with a few different styles before we really figured out which ones sat right with everything. And that's really the big part about this one, is just really, experimenting and figuring out ultimately what feels right and what that vision is. And it's a very magical moment when you do get that, and it very much locks into place like gears. And and everything just works together very beautifully. We started all the way back at the animatic phase, and that's normal, is starting all the way back there, because that's really, you get the story and you get the expressions, and that's kind of what you need to go off of. And then as it develops, maybe there'll be some timing shifts potentially, as things get more locked in. And that's ultimately, that's the easiest part of the process when writing music, is changing the timing and making sure things hit right. The hard part of the process is telling the story. And I'm sure, in everyone's different artistic medium, like that's probably relate there. It's like, how do you properly, convey the right emotions and feelings and, things that are happening. Once you're conveying those, if, something happens half a second later, you just add half a second more music that's doing the same thing that the last minute of music's already doing. Yeah, absolute joy to work on.
Thank you, Rory. Oh my God. And about what I'm working on is, for now, I'm trying different things like internship in Tencent Games as a storyboard artist, just try different things. But I will back to my school for my last year and my last school animation film. Hopefully I could work with Rory again. You're amazing. Just shout out. And what advice for me, it's like, get more sleep. And you can make the deadline. Don't be too worried. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for sharing. I think Jinji just want to say self-care is really important. You do have all the time in the world. I think that's all we all learned from the pandemic. Roy, I think you're too humble. Sound process is really complicated. It does take the 50%. That's why I think somehow you should connect with Roy, because you talk about unit composer. I think we can make that connection here. So yes, perfect. Well, thank you both. Next, we're going to talk about a film called The Gate by Kino. Hi, Kino.
Hi, I'm Kino. So The Gate is about, so in the film, the children are forced to become adults when they are old enough. And when they become adults, they will give up their emotions and memories. And two young friends in the film, they discover a secret in the library, and that allows them to escape. And so it's a story about the transition to adulthood, individuality, and the quest for freedom. I'm a huge fan of science fiction and dystopian stories, so I was inspired by many films like Equals, THX 1138 by George Lucas. And also part of the story was based on my personal experience and the close controlled environment I live in. About the process, though, it's a purely digital 2D character animation, but my assistant Richard and I also use some 3D program like Maya and Cinema 4D to build some models as reference. I really need to thank my composer, Cass. We try to create immersive feeling and also use the sound to tell the story itself. If I can go back to the past, it was actually my first time completing a narrative short film on my own, and the topic I chose was quite complex. I just wish I could make it longer and explain some details better. Next step, I'm working on another short film. It's also a personal project I call Feed Me, and it's also a 2D character animation, but it's gonna be more cartoony. Yeah.
That sounds super exciting. Please share with us. Thank you, Kino. And talking about transitions and expectations, now we have the film called Timmy's Monster by Agnes and Luis, and we have two of them here, right? Hi.
Hello. I'm Agnes, the director of Timmy's Monster. It's so nice to be here, and we also have Luis, our co-producer, with us.
Hi.
So a little bit about the story. This film follows the journey of a boy called Timmy, who was born the strongest and tallest out of all of his siblings in a village, and Timmy expects his monster companion to also share the same quality, like the tallest, mightiest monster, but then he ends up with the tiniest monster possible. And with this test against Timmy's ego, he must learn to embrace his own weakness. And it's actually inspired by my personal experience in art school. I've met so many talented artists, and I can't stop comparing myself to them. It sort of become like a vicious cycle where I get frustrating thinking that, I'll never be as good as others. And finally, it turned out that I realized it's not worth comparing. Like everyone start with a different level, and everyone have their strengths and weaknesses, and that's what's like what makes us unique. And comparison will only like slowly engulf our confidence and identity, and it takes time and hard work to achieve our goal as an artist. So yeah, I came up with the story of Timmy, the strongest boy, having the tiniest monster of all, and he had to embrace his own weakness and figure out a way to work with his tiny companion. And I really like Asia village culture, like tea farms and so some of the world building is inspired by those as well. Yeah, and that's how I came up with this story. And Louise, do you want to talk about like something special about the film process?
Oh yeah. So what's really special about Timmy's Monster is that it was completely done remotely. And our main team was just 6 people. We did have extra help, around 20, but most of the work was done with the main 6 people. And Agnes and I were working from our own countries. And we have yet to meet some of our members in person, actually. But we still keep in touch. In terms of the animation of Timmy's Monster, it was all done 2D in Harmony, but I'd say the magic of the look actually came from our cleanup and coloring process. We exported our videos from Harmony into Photoshop, and we inked and colored every frame to give that watercolor look. See, Agnes really wanted a children's storybook style, something very soft and watercolor, so Agnes gave us the brushes of her choice, and we just went and painted every frame, and that's how we got this really nice children's book look with Timmy's Monster. After the animation and coloring was compositing, I was the only compositor of the film, so I touched every shot and I composited the entire film in After Effects. I did the camera moves, I did the lighting and shadows, I also did color correction. And it was a bit of a scramble since I was the only compositor, but I'm happy I got it done in time. And yeah, that's about compositing. I guess next is music. Agnes, do you want to share anything about the music?
Yeah, so there's one more thing that's special is to work with our music composer, Tyler, and he did the best job here and used like oriental flute instruments to add onto the whole film. It's just amazing. Like his music added like kind of like whimsical and a lighthearted feeling to the whole film. So yeah, I think that's perfect for it. And if I can time travel to the past, one thing I'll definitely do would be to meet the team in person, like, because we did the whole film online due to pandemic, and like going back to the States on ground will just change the whole experience. Like animation is more like a team thing, so I believe I'll learn so much more from them, and maybe it can spark off more amazing ideas.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can time travel to future, and you will be meeting each other, and then there will be new sparks coming out for sure. So thank you.
Hopefully one day.
Yes. And I also have to do a shout out. These two have their monsters in their background for the virtual background. Good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you both. Last but not least, this is an amazing film. You know, we talk about family and grandfather, grandmother. We do have Lauren's film called Grandmother's Beautiful Boy. Hi, Lauren.
Yes, hello. Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm the director of Grandmother's Beautiful Boy. And the film is about a young boy learning how to cook with his grandmother. And it's actually inspired by myself growing up and cooking with my own grandmother. The actual recipe showed in the film is one that I had to learn growing up to be able to cook for my family. So for those who watch it, you can actually try the recipe out at home. But overall, what I think was really special about this film and about the process was not only was it about family, it was actually made by a lot of my family members. We had 4 other people working on the film aside from myself, and that was our composer Ian Lau, and he's actually my cousin. I also had my sister working on the film as a cleanup artist, funny enough, and then one other family friend was working on it. So the whole concept of family was really like spewing out with not only the story, but with the music and even in the tiny little details of the animation. So some advice for myself I would say that I would give is to not be afraid to make mistakes. I think because this story meant so much to me, especially with it being made by my family members, I put a lot of pressure on myself to really like get it done. But I just have to remind myself that it's okay, take breaks, don't worry. Yeah, and then what I'm working on next, I'm actually working on another short film, and it's funny enough, it's a horror story, but still exploring family in that sense. So it's actually a 2D, 3D hybrid, so I was really excited to try something new with that and step out of 2D and get into a little bit of 3D. So I'm really excited to show that when eventually it's complete.
Great, thank you, Laura. For sure, there's a trend going on, right? There's a horror, a family, self-care. Well, thank you all. So I just want to quickly recap. I learned so much from all of you in all your films, and thank you for creating beautiful stories and share with the world and share with us and with our audience too. And I think the question I always ask people, what's your advice that you want to give to your past self? Is that's advice that we can all resonate and learn from each other too. There's so many bad things happen this last 2 years, but I think we all survived. That's a good high five that we have for each other. And moving forward, how we're going to move forward and learn from the experience that we have as well. So I want to, on behalf of the festival, I want to thank you all for sharing your visions and your creativity. And please keep us posted on all the amazing films you're making next. And I also hope that this is a good platform for you to connect with each other. You're all going to be helping out each other. You're probably going to be working next to each other in the future. So this is a great event for you to meet and celebrate. So thank you all, and I'm going to hand it back to Mimi.
Yes, thank you so much, the amazing, talented 11 artists right here all together. And Sean, thank you again for bringing them together and helping us bring out these best of the best. And it would be amiss if I don't mention, actually, the whole panel here came from several countries. A lot from East Coast, West Coast, but also from Singapore, Hong Kong, Philippines, and Canada from the North. And really appreciate everyone, and Taiwan, and so in China, and Chengdu, everywhere. So really shows the diverse nature of the stories and how you all were able to work together. Really a team sport, if I can say that. But really just such touching stories and beautiful artwork and sound. And now we know where to go for music composers. We know where to find the compositor. But just wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing with us all your journey and what you're going to work on next. And we will definitely follow your future. And thanks very much. And thanks everyone for coming together. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you can all find a little bit your own story in one of the stories being told so many different ways. And if you like the stories, if you like the art, please do share and post. And really, these are really wonderful artists, and then we need to share their work more often with more people. And with that, I want to first, maybe last but not least, really thank you all the jurors. If the jurors can join me on the stage, really want to thank you very much. It's really a labor of love. Yeah, Gonzo, Wendy, Min, Sean. Oh, Ching, you're here. Wonderful. Rebecca from Sydney and Chi Sui from Taiwan. They're coming. Yes, it's Wendy. Thank you very much. And Ning. And Sean, thank you very much. And Ching, yes, welcome. And Gonzo. And thank you very much for joining us. And thank all the jurors. And they really spent yes, thank you very much. All right, thanks for joining us. And thanks those that joined us online as well. Thanks very much.
Ha!